What happens at Grandma's stays at Grandma's is a model for you and your grandkids. If it's fun, it's fair game. But lately, hip pain has you grimacing more than laughing. And that's the moment you realize life's too short to put off treatment any longer.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with hundreds of joint replacements each year. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better. The Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This podcast, episode 568, Shay's Weight Loss Journey, weekly updates.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This podcast. I am Amanda Valentine. Shay is back. What's up?
Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm all right, considering, natural disasters. And...
The world is burning.
Yeah, right. I mean, considering the year that 2020 is, I'm like, I'm doing good today.
Today, I'm good. As of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody's
check in an hour.
Yeah, right. Like I feel like though, I am in a good mood and it is a good day, but it's like, I feel I completely deleted Facebook and I feel like that's been super positive. I've been being on it less and less, not to just totally dump on Facebook, but I'm like, it's really good for the mental health. And I've been seeing a lot of people post on Instagram about completely doing social media detoxes, even if it's for a few days. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize what a huge just happiness swing that you go through of like, oh dang, like I might schedule in like once a month, like a week of a digital detox just because, dude, it's just a lot.
Well, and it's constant. It's all day, every day that we're being fed stuff. So
yeah. So how have you been the past week?
I've actually this is probably the best week I've had in a while. So I feel like I'm not like craving a bunch of stuff right now. And I felt more like in a routine and in control than I have like probably since March. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's been positive. So
have you been weighing yourself at all?
Yeah. I'm still weighing myself. I have to weigh myself more than I should. But yeah, I'm still just like chilling where I'm at, which is okay. So
no, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
dude, considering everything going on and everybody is having, a year that I don't feel like there is any shame at all in gaining weight. And telling myself that too, of just kind of like, you know what, if it's better for my mental health I ate a freaking pint of ice cream earlier this week. I'm like, I don't care, because we went to Jungle Gyms, and so there's the Jenny's ice cream that's like in Columbus or whatever, and it's really expensive, but their flavors like sound so good. And there was a flavor I saw there a few months ago, and I'm like, oh, I want to try that. And then I didn't buy it. And then I'm like, well, if it comes back, I'm going to get it. And we went to Jungle Gyms this week, and they had it, and it's goat cheese and cherries. Which
I think I've seen that one like in the store before.
And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to try a spoonful. And then I ate a whole pint of it. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I feel happy. It tasted delicious. Like, whatever. And I'm like, if I feel good about it and I have a good relationship with it, and yeah, it might, it's just one thing, but I'm like, if I gained weight from that, I'm like, well, whatever. I guess it's making me happy. And I feel like that whatever we can find in our days that give us nice little moments of gratitude and happiness, hang on to all, because there's so much stuff that's like just bummers right now. That's like, oh, do what you got to do. I've been meditating every day. I've been gratitude journaling, of just trying to focus on other things other than what's good. Because it's just super bummed me out where I used to live in Oregon is on fire and burning to the ground. And like, that hit me way harder than I thought. Cause that's just, you're used to seeing all this craziness in the news, but like when it hits close to you, I'm like, oh my God, like it's just so scary for so many people then I feel stuck of like, what can I do to help? And then there's not much you can do to help in the COVID world. Cause it's like, oh, well, don't come here. You know what I mean? Cause that's the first thing I thought is like, should I fly out there? And I'm like, oh my God, no, like just calm down.
And what are you going to do? Fly out there with a hose?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did. So when I lived there, there was a wildfire in, funny enough, Weed, California. And it like burned down half of Weed. And so we did, the radio station I worked at, we did this whole thing of like, we got to help out this community. And so we did our whole show from a grocery store to Food for Less. And we got a semi, and people came in and bought water and supplies and food. And we filled 2 semis with stuff to take down there for them. Like stuff like that, where I'm like, that's, you feel helpful and resourceful. And at the time, that's what they were asking for, because that's where you get into dangerous waters too. No pun intended, with like hurricanes or any of these natural disasters. It seems like half the time you send crap and they're like, no, we needed this, not that. And because some people like will send like all their clothes, like some like it's a Goodwill, and they're like, no, we don't want like dirty clothes. Like we need water. So then it's like you want to help, but then like what's the right way to help? I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here, but stuff like that I like feeling useful for, of like what can I do? Oh my God, thousands of people lost their homes yesterday and today and will tomorrow, and it's like, where are you supposed to go? There's no shelter, there's no with COVID. I'm like,
I can't even imagine.
I know. That's why I'm like, well, I'm just going to do what I can do that's the best today and support in the ways that I can and try it. Like, I just feel like I bring myself down. I just have all this anxiety about things, like feeling things for people I don't even know. You know what I mean? Of like, and then I just feel overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, that's why I'm like, I have to delete Facebook. I'm just not only all the fighting, but it's like, I want to help and I don't know how to help, and I want to fix things and I don't know how to fix I don't know how to fix 2020.
No, nobody does.
But I know it's been hot again, so you probably haven't been walking.
It's horrible. Every time it looks like it's going to cool off, it's just like still hot as balls. So it's awful. Yeah. So I'm still freaking going to Planet Fitness. So I'm hoping it looks like at some point next week it's going to get into the 70s. So
yeah, that'll be nice.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm psyched for.
It's just good for my soul to like walk outside.
Right? Yeah. Me too. Not when it's 90 and humid. I mean, I'll do it, but it's not
I won't do it. I will not.
It's not so bad once you're out there for a while.
Girl, you're crazy.
Well, I also don't have central air in my house. So
I don't either.
Really? Do you just keep it like ice cold in your house?
I have units. Yeah.
I do too, but I don't leave them on.
Well, and you have a house. I have a 1-bedroom apartment and I have 2 units. So
yeah. So that seems nice and cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am
just keep it like a cooler.
I know that I don't know what's going to who knows what's going to happen like with fall and winter with everything, but I am over this summer. I am ready for summer to be done in all capacities. I'm sick of hot weather. I'm sick of humidity. I'm sick of summer 2020.
I know. Yeah, they're starting to talk to us at work about booking our clients for the holidays. And I'm like, no one can even think about the holidays right now. And I'm supposed to be like, hey, you want to book your holiday appointments? It's so awkward to do this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are thinking about it. I know that we have already, because we're like, do we go home? Like, do we go to family gathering? Like, we have thought about it because we do that for Thanksgiving and Christmas of like, we usually go to my brother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving, but they have a baby and we're like, and plus, my husband's parents are in their 60s, and we're like, do we go? Like, is that, and we're all coming from different parts of the Midwest, but like we're all driving from other places to be there. Of like, again, is this the year that we just solo Thanksgiving, which we used to do forever because we live so far away from home. We did that for like a decade. But then do family members get mad at you because everybody has differing views on COVID? And so it's like, are you going to piss them off if you're like, I don't go? And oh my God, it's going to be a weird year, dude. It's just going to be like, I just want to just have the nice Christmas vibes. Like, I love the holidays. Like, I just want to like, I kind of even thought of like, I kind of just want to put the tree up now. Like, I just put up,
call it a year,
decorations just to like, and I've been seeing like Christmas videos on TikTok, and I'm like, it just feels like a nice warm blanket of like, let's just think about Christmas time. Can we just think about cookies and, I don't know, like the Alvin and the Chipmunks singing Christmas songs.
Oh my God.
But I love fall. Fall is my freaking jam. So
mine too. It's my favorite.
That's why I'm hoping that we get a fall and it doesn't jump from scorching hot. Like we were just talking about in Denver, went from 92 to like 35 this week of like, oh man, like, can we just get a fall?
I know. Let's not pull a Denver. Let's have a fall so that I can wear some hoodies and drink some apple cider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Although I will say, after living in Denver for 3 years, that place has the most whacked weather out of any place I've lived. And I've lived in a lot of places. Denver is like, every single place is always just kind of like, oh, we have the craziest weather. Like, don't like the weather? Wait 15 minutes. It'll change. Like, every single place says that. And the only place that I have personally found that to be like really legit was Denver. Like, Denver is like, it would be sunny and warm and blue. Like, literally one time I got groceries and it was freaking sunny outside. And I came in, brought in my groceries, put them all away, looked out the window, it was a hailstorm. And I'm like, geez, like, it escalates so freaking quickly. And so, like, yeah, like, I'm not shocked that they went from 90s to 30s in a snowstorm, because I'm like, that place is crazy, especially during like the like kind of like monsoon season where it's like sunny every day, and then they'll just have this insane thunderstorm in the afternoon that'll last 15 minutes and then go away.
My God.
Yeah. Or you can't go hiking in the mountains even in the summer because like a freak storm could blow in. You hear stories about how people have like died and lost their legs by going hiking in the summer.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude.
That's horrible.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. I mean, it's beautiful there. It's awesome. Like, but it's just like, that's kind of my experience, at least in the 3 years that I lived there, it's kind of bonkers.
Oh my God. And we think Ohio's crazy.
Yeah, right?
Like you said, you think where you live is wild.
Yeah. Well, and I lived in upstate New York too total, I lived in New York for 5.5 years. And being on the Great Lakes, I was in Rochester, which wasn't Buffalo, which gets it worse, but still get hammered of like, it would snow every single day. And I did mornings, so and I didn't have a garage. I'd have to clean snow off my car at 4 a.m. every single day. Oh. Because he would even if it was just like a flurry, at least one winter that I was there, it was like that. And then that's where it's different than Denver, where you'd have these mounds of black snow that are like, because it just doesn't go away and it gets plowed up, and that it would just be piles of black snow everywhere for months, and especially like in like parking lots. But then Denver, you'll get snowstorms, but it'll melt in 3 days. So you don't ever have this like piles of like trash snow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just like so crazy where it's like every section of the country. And then, yeah, like when I lived in Oregon, there was wildfires, which I never even thought about till I moved there, until like state was on fire when I lived there. And then we lived in, smoke, and we had to go get N95 masks. And I was like, what the hell is this? I didn't even think about Oregon being on fire when I moved here. Like, again, like then if you live in on coastal, and you got hurricanes. It's like, oh my God. And you live in the middle. You live here in Ohio. You got tornadoes. It's like, where can you live that's not just like where you can avoid anything? I don't know where that spot would be.
I don't know. For the most part, I feel like Ohio's pretty chill other than the tornadoes.
Yeah, and even the tornadoes here aren't bad.
It's like northern Ohio, too, that gets that worse.
Yeah, where they get all the snow, like in Cleveland and stuff.
Yeah, and tornadoes seem to be worse up there.
Have you ever seen a tornado? I know we're going totally off tangent here, but I don't care. Have you ever seen a tornado in person?
No.
No. Did you?
I would not be okay. I would not be all right.
Did you have to do tornado drills in school?
Dude, I was homeschooled, so we did no tornado drills. But like when the freaking sirens go off here, I call my mom and I'm like, do I go down in my basement? And then I'm trying to get Sebastian like in his carrier, which is impossible because I'm like, if the tornado hits and I'm in the basement and the cat isn't with me, it's like, it's real bad.
Yeah. Did you go in the basement when you were a kid? Did you have a basement growing up?
Sort of. Like we lived in like a tri-level, so it wasn't like an actual basement, but our plan was always there was a bathroom down there we were going to go in. We never actually had to, but yeah. Our neighbors had a basement, so sometimes if weather got real bad, we'd go over to the neighbor's house, but I don't know. Ohio's pretty chill.
Yeah, we had the tornadoes I had growing up in Illinois were way worse than here, which was super fun for me growing up in a trailer. And so, and the tornado plan was, cause it's this little janky little trailer court that I grew up in. And there's like this stone, like you could pay extra to have a covered parking space. Like it was like, so the trailer park was like, just like a U drive. It's a small town. So and plus there wasn't a lot of people living in trailers either, just like me. And, which I was like the only kid in the trailer court, which was real fun for school. And, but anyway, so in the middle of the U was like this little parking structure made out of, cinder blocks that if you paid extra or whatever, I guess you could park there. And they're like, yeah, if there's a tornado, go stand in that. And I'm like, I think I'm going to just die no matter what. Like there's just like, so anytime, and there would be tornado sirens, I remember before school. And it's just like me and my brother just like, just want to sit here and just like eat our cereal. Like, what are you going to do? Like if it's going to come, we're going to die no matter what. Like, all right.
Oh my God.
So we never there was a tornado that touched down while I was in school. And it touched down like in the soccer fields at school. But there was nothing like was ever destroyed. Like I never had one that was like, that gave me like, that was going to like pull my trailer up. So I guess I'm thankful for that. Right. But it's just like, yeah, that's a whole nother experience whenever cause now, cause I own a home and I have a basement, I'm like, oh, this feels so secure. I'm like, oh, there's a big storm. At least I feel safe down here, not just kind of like, well, I'm like in a tin can of death. Cool. Like, we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's why I'm glad there's a basement that I can go to at my apartment, because I'm like, I live on the second floor, so it's like not just gonna hang out here.
Yeah, but I mean, from what I can just tell, I mean, I haven't been to your apartment, but I can see the background. It looks like you're like in one of those like big brick buildings. Is that right?
Yeah.
It seems like that would be kind of a structure that would be somewhat safe, I guess. I don't know tornado science. But even that, like the only other job field I've really thought about doing other than working in radio was being a storm chaser. And I don't know if it's just because I'm like grew up in a trailer and was just kind of like YOLO, whatever anyway. But I'm like, that would be super fun. And even while I was at the radio station here in Cincinnati, I brought that up of like, could I do a week where I go pay do a tour of it? I'm like, I'll do all the video and all this stuff and I can put it on the radio station page. And they would not let me do it. They're like, that is a liability. They're like, we can't like let you go die. Like, what happens if you get picked up by a tornado? You can't do that for work. And they're like, you can do it on your own, but they're like, we can't technically stop you, but we strongly do not want you to do that because we have an investment in you as a person and you can't be going out doing wild crap and dying.
I could totally see you being a freaking storm chaser.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to be in one of those vehicles that like is like legit, like the ones that are on the TV shows. Like I'm not gonna go out like in a Dodge Neon and chase
You don't
a
want to be
tornado.
out there in a smart car.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do any of that. But like, I want to go out with people that are like the people that have like the radar in their car, and have like, because I mean, guilty pleasure. I love watching those storm chasing shows, which there haven't been any new ones lately, at least on Netflix. Of like, yeah, the ones where they like clamp into the ground or whatever that could technically have a tornado go over them. I'm like, I'd be down for that, but
Oh my
these
God.
are the things that I think
I don't even
about.
know what happened with this podcast.
I know, right? And you know what's funny too is that like I don't even care. And if you're still listening to this, sorry, we'll talk about other stuff later. I'm just having fun with this conversation.
Weight loss podcast, and you're like, freaking like talking about friggin' tornadoes and fires, and I'm gonna be a storm chaser.
Well, I would do. This is where I'm whacked, or at least I think that I'm whacked. I would totally go on a storm chase before I would go like on a legit ghost hunt.
Yeah, that stuff freaks me out.
I know. I don't, and I've done it a little bit for radio stuff. With like paranormal crews and stuff like that.
No way.
There was ones that I did when I lived in New York. We did this thing called the Boo Bus, and we got a bus together, right? And we put a psychic on the bus and a paranormal crew, and you had to win tickets. Listeners had to win tickets to get on the bus with us. And we went on a tour of people that called the radio station and said, like, I have legit activity at my house. You guys should come over, because we're bringing a crew with us. So we went to, I can't remember what it was, like 3 or 4 places in one night, and went on a tour and went to these people's houses, and it was freaky. It was creepy. And so I've done stuff like that, but the things where people like go spend the night in like sane asylums and stuff like that, I'm like, nah, dude, like put me in a storm chasing scenario, which is weird because I mean that's like you could die. Where I'm like, instead of spending the night in a sane asylum.
Doing neither of those.
I'm curious about them. I'll watch the TV shows on them. I wish there was like better ones other than Ghost Adventures or whatever. Like, bro, something touch me, bro. Like, I like the ones that are like more rooted in the non-reality show vibe. But that stuff freaks me out. I don't like that stuff.
No, I prefer to just like think that stuff, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I've seen some like where we did the Boo Bus thing. We were legit standing outside. So this house, first off, these people, again, I'm sorry that this podcast has gone off the rails, but whatever. That these people bought this house. The house used to be a funeral home.
No.
And we went down in the basement, which I had bad vibes. I'm like, get me out of here. I only went down briefly. The rest of them stayed down there. And there was a whole wall that was walled off that used to be like the morgue in their basement, in their house.
No.
And I'm like, I'm not a fan of this. And so then me and some of the people the listeners that were on the bus were standing outside. And all of us are like, oh, it's like cigarette smoke. And then we could literally see it. We could see like cigarette smoke. We saw like, but it disappeared and nobody was smoking. And it was just in one spot. Like we could smell smoke and we're like, this is weird. And then we went inside and told the owners that, and they're like, oh yeah, that happens. And they're like, oh, out by where you were standing is by like some pit that they put into the wall or into the side of the hill where they would like, I don't know, they put parts or something. They would bury stuff in the wall. I don't remember where it was, but it was like something like,
that's awful.
And I'm like, oh, that's creepy. And then they were saying too that there was like, they had like little childlike spirits there. And me and one of the owners, while all the people were down in the basement, because I didn't want to be down there, me and her were just talking in the living room. And this thing started flashing and going off. And it never turned on. Like it was battery operated. But like we turned it on, then turned it off to get it to shut off.
Oh
and
my God.
Then at one point, my co-host at the time, his name was Scott, we were standing at the front steps talking to the owners about what we were going to put on the air and everything the next day. And he's just like he just like kind of just shook his head and he got down on one knee and then just started crying. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I just had a feeling, because he had like a 4-year-old daughter at the time. He's like, I had a feeling like my daughter was like pulling me to like get down and talk to her. He's like, so I got down, and he's just like, there was just this feeling I needed to do, and then you start crying because it just like went away, and they're like, oh, it's probably the little girl that lives here. And I'm like, ooh, like, can we leave now?
Oh my God.
Because to see him do that, we're like, what are you doing? And he's just like,
that
I
is
just had this.
awful.
It was creepy. So, and I guess this is how excited I am for fall, telling like ghost stories. But it's like, we had so much good stuff because we were recording stuff for on the air to play the next day. And it was just like, dang. I mean, it was a cool experience. I've never done it since because I left that radio station by then. And I mean, God, you probably couldn't do anything. Like just trying to do anything at a radio station, you had to have people sign off on legal forms and everything like that. And it's too much of a hassle. But it was like, it was cool and creepy at the same time. And then at the same time, I felt like, I need to like cleanse myself or something. Like we've done like in the dark tours of the Dent Schoolhouse here in Cincinnati when the lights were like, when nobody was there, when it's not being a functioning haunted house, of being just walking down there in the basement. And that's super creepy. You get the vibe too of like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, so I did it for my job, but Amanda personally didn't. I'm sorry, I just went off on a whole long tangent here.
Oh my God.
See, this is the kind of dumb crap I could talk about all day.
That's right.
It's my podcast. I felt like talking about it today. Thank you for participating.
I do what
with
I
me.
want.
Right? Thank you for I'm sorry, we totally went off the rails from talking about it. Anyway, what's your next week look like as far as health and fitness goes?
You know, probably the same as the last. My weeks are pretty much the same right now.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So hopefully the temps get cooler and go outside for a walk, maybe in the cemetery.
Probably not. Oh my God.
All right. Well, I guess I should end here so I don't go off into another tangent about weather or storm chasing or ghost chasing.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you next week and I'll stay more on track.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.